Then the United Arab Emirates came along. Oh, it wasn't the ports deal. Come on, give me a break. Ports deal didn't have anything in the world to do with the United Arab Emirates and Dubai. All one and the same, all the consortium over there. You know why President Bush tried to sweep this under the rug and let them have our ports deal? Because they said, we don't trust your T-bills and your securities anymore. We want hard assets. You know who bought on November the 20th Grand Central Station, downtown New York? They own it now, United Arab Emirates. You know who owns 3 of the largest high-rise buildings in New York today? United Arab Emirates. You know why? They don't trust our $9 trillion national debt any longer. They said, we're not buying any more of your T-bills. We don't trust it. We want your port facilities or else. And the president tried to sweep it under the rug, and a few congressmen woke up and said, President, back off. Now, let me state very emphatically, you 700 plus people sitting right here today, if you became as adamant as those congressmen did when they went to the president and said, our constituents have told us not to let that oil deal go through, or that ports deal go through. If this 700 people right here went back as upset and angry as those constituents and congressmen did, you could turn the world around. They went back to the president and they said, don't you do it. What did the president do? The president had no choice but to back off and didn't give the United Arab Emirates what they wanted. You know what the United Arab Emirates did the day after? It was February the 28th, 06. You know what United Arab Emirates did the day after they did not get the ports deal? You didn't see this. It would have collapsed Wall Street. They pulled $13.5 billion out of the United States of America and securities and sold them off because they were so angry that the president wouldn't give them the ports deal, and he must have shaken in his shoes that night. Then the next country to jump ship, Bolivia came along on May the 5th of 2006. I'm sorry, May the 2nd of 2006, and said, we are diversifying. Then the nail that was driven into the coffin. This is my prediction. This is Williamsology, if you may. The nail that was driven into the coffin took place on May the 11th of 2006 when Mr. Putin of Russia said the Soviet Union will now establish its own bourse and will use the ruble as the transfer and sale of oil for the Soviet Union. And as far as I'm concerned, it drove the nail in the coffin of the American dollar. You know why they're not publishing the M3 monetary aggregate anymore after March the 23rd? Isn't it very significant that on March the 20th, Iran said we will no longer use the dollar? March the 23rd, the Federal Reserve said we will no longer publish the M3 monetary aggregate. That's how much money floating around of American dollars in the world, unused. They don't dare publish it. If it did, you would know the truth, and the Federal Reserve won't let you know about it. But I'll tell you, somebody does know about it. Listen to Mr. Masahara Karawai, who is the head or the chairman of the Asian Development Bank. I have his statement right here as he made it to a public audience. He said, East Asian economies need to prepare for a possible collapse of the U.S. dollar. Oh, you think it's going to last forever, don't you? $9 trillion national debt. The world is losing faith in the American dollar. $9 trillion. You know what that is? I can't even comprehend it. $9 trillion is 28 Eiffel Towers constructed out of pure gold. You think we're not in trouble? 9 billion. Let's take 9 trillion. Let's take 1 billion, for instance. There's 1,000 billion in a trillion. And we're $9 trillion in debt. Let's take 1 billion. That's just a fraction of the total debt. Let's take our 1 billion debt and denominate it to seconds. Tick, 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 Take 60 seconds in a minute, 60 minutes in an hour, 24 hours in a day. How long would it take us to denominate 1 billion, not 9 trillion, and there's 100 billion in a trillion. How long would it take us to accumulate 1 billion seconds from today back until 1973? That's how much trouble we're in. The United States dollar has lost 48% of its purchasing power. Do you remember the day? 1960? You could take one of these. Federal Reserve note, $1 bill. Any bank in America, you could take that into the bank and you could, across the counter, get one of these. Remember that? What would it take today? My son and I were at a radio talk show the other day. It was a gold dealer. I won't tell you their name. And they wanted me to do an hour show with them, and I did. And I don't sell gold, by the way. I just happened to do a radio talk show for them. And when we got through, the owner of the company handed my son this silver dollar, and he said, "I'd like to give this to you for appreciation of your dad being here today." And he looked back at him and he said, "What's that worth?" And he said, "Oh, you'd have to pay $32 for it. It's now $35. Now, watch me. What has happened to the money? My son looked over at me, and he took a $1 bill, and he took a $5 piece of paper, and he said, "Daddy, what's the difference in it?" I said, "None." Then I went to the gift shop. I wanted to buy something for my lovely lady back home. And I went to the gift shop yesterday, and when I got change, they gave me this. I never played with anything any more Monopoly in my life. Look at it, colored. I haven't even seen this in America yet. By the way, Ron Paul says we're headed for a two-tier currency. Mark my words, you'll probably have it real short. It took 200 years for the United States of America to reach $1 trillion national debt. 200 years. In the past 18 months, we have accrued $1 trillion more national debt. This administration will probably see $10 trillion national debt. Are we in trouble? The federal government is currently spending 20.8% cents out of every $1 that the economy generates. March the 20th, no more M3. Within 1 week of Iran establishing their BOAS, oil went up $5. I predicted it. I predicted it a month in advance that the day that Iran did this, it would happen. And mark my words, what you're hearing here today, you better make some preparations. Oil went up from the day that Iran said we'll establish our BOAS, March the 20th. Oil went up $5. Gold went up $20. Gasoline at the pump went up 25 cents. Listen to this one. In the past 5 years, here's the trend in China's surplus with the United States. In 2001, they had $83 billion surplus. This is the amount of money that they're holding, by the way, in American dollars. You think they're going to be angry when the dollar collapses? You've never seen the like of what Walmart's going to look like. Are you awake? Yeah, Walmart's where you get it cheap. You wait till inflation hits Walmart. We're all going to be in trouble. In 2002, there was a $103 billion surplus with China. In 2003, $124 billion. 2004, $162 billion. In 2005, $201 billion. And the China representative who came to the White House just recently made this statement, and oh my, did it set off something in my mind. He said, China can stop buying dollar-denominated bonds, and the day they do, what's going to happen to the United States of America? The U.S. is forced to import 400,000 gallons of gasoline a day from other countries. We have set ourselves up for one of the most perilous times that you can ever imagine. By the way, don't get up and go yet. You couldn't eat dinner right now anyway. You may as well stay to the end. I am going to give you some solutions. I'm watching that little thing down there. Whenever it changes colors, I don't know how many minutes I have, but by the way, how many minutes do I have? I can't see the clock. All right. The U.S. back in 1981 had 321 refineries. The U.S. today only has 149 oil refineries. Many plants are operating 24 hours a day with no downtime for maintenance, and the supply is growing in fuel. We're operating at 90% capacity. We're in trouble. Oh, I wish I had the time to tell you the story of the farmers.